Hey y'all, it's me, Shy One Persephone, back with my 11th book of my year of reading women. And for this book, I chose to read Vox by Christina Dalcher. So Christina is, there she is there. She is a linguist who specializes in the phonetics of sound change in Italian and British dialects and is taught at several universities. This is her first novel. She's written some short stories and flash fiction that have appeared in like magazines and stuff, but this is her first like full-length novel. It is a dystopian sort of feminist novel along the lines of The Handmaid's Tale. In fact, any novel like this is going to be compared to The Handmaid's Tale because that's like the ultimate dystopian feminist fiction. So whether that's fair or not is up for debate, but it's really hard not to compare these books to The Handmaid's Tale. This book in particular takes place in a society where women have been basically they can say 100 words a day. They've got a little device on their wrist, and if they say more than, it counts their words, and if they say more than 100 words, it zaps them with electricity. It has very similar tropes to The Handmaid's Tale. So you've got the really conservative religious regime that's dead set on suppressing women and women's rights. You've got sort of an underground resistance. You've got a protagonist who didn't really care about things until they affected her. And now suddenly she cares. And then you've got the sassy lesbian BFF. Now, Christina Dalcher has stated that her sort of jumping off point for this novel, or her inspiration for this novel, was the Stepford Wives. And I see that a little bit, but it's way more similar to Handmaid's Tale. However, unlike Handmaid's Tale, this is very simplistic. It doesn't have any of the subtleties or nuance. Everything is sort of laid out very plainly. It's absolutely just spelled out for you what's going on and why and what. And I don't know, I kind of feel like if The Handmaid's Tale was like an Oscar-winning film, this is like the Lifetime original movie version. It's still entertaining. It's still worth reading. But it just doesn't have the artfulness that The Handmaid's Tale has. Granted, when Margaret Atwood wrote The Handmaid's Tale, she was a seasoned author, and this is a first-time author here. So it's kind of not fair to compare the two. But, you know, I've read Margaret Atwood's first book, and it's still written better than this one. Like I said, it's still entertaining. The characters aren't super likable. The main character is Dr. Jean McClellan. She, before this regime took over and limited women to 100 words a day and made them stay in the house and cooking and cleaning and everything, she was a researcher who was on the verge of a breakthrough regarding patients with aphasia. So aphasia happens in stroke patients, people with head injuries. Basically, they can form thoughts in their mind, but when they try to speak it out loud, it comes out as just nonsense. So they've effectively lost their ability to communicate, which, you know, it's kind of obvious symbolism there. You know, a woman who works to give people back their voices has had her voice taken away. But basically the government recruits her to work on a project dealing with aphasia. She's able to get her wrist thing removed so she can say as many words a day as she wants. She has a little daughter, and she's worried about what's going to happen to her daughter growing up not saying any words. It is, you know, it's suspenseful, and even though the main character isn't super likable, I still found myself caring about what happened to her and her family. And I did find myself questioning, like, how would I react if I was limited to 100 words a day? Like, how would that impact my life? So it gets you thinking a little bit, but, you know, I think there's definitely better dystopian fiction than this. Like I said, this is like the Lifetime original movie version of dystopian feminism. But I still read the whole thing. I still found myself, you know, it's a page turner, which, you know, there are plenty of books that aren't written super well, that don't have the strongest plots, that are still absolute page turners and still really entertaining to read. And I think this is one of those books. It would be a great beach read. So yeah, that's what I thought about Vox. And I think also, if you've been following me, you know, the book that I read right before this was Beloved by Toni Morrison, which is a masterpiece. So I went from reading that to reading this. So I think a lot of my feelings about the way that this book is written, they're not really fair to Christina, because I'm comparing her to Margaret Atwood and Toni Morrison, who are these incredible word smiths. And just being compared to those two women is, you know, it's a lot to live up to. So, but Christina did her best. I appreciate her first foray into long form fiction. I may or may not read more of her work if she comes out with it. I have a feeling I'll probably have other stuff that I'd rather read, but yeah, I did find this entertaining enough to read the whole thing. You know, I've gotten to the point in my life where I don't feel guilty if I stop reading a book in the middle. There's just so much that I want to read at this point. But I did get to the end. I did finish the whole thing. Obviously I had some criticisms about it, but, you know, make your own decision about whether you want to read it or not. I will be back later, with definitely more Instagram posts. I don't know about more videos though, because, if you watched my intro video, you know that I plan on starting school in August, and that's going to take up a lot of time. However, it looks like school might possibly start earlier than that. So we'll see. I even found it hard just to make time for this video. Like, I finished Vox a week ago, and I'm just now getting to making the video. So I may or may not be back with more videos. We'll see, but definitely follow me on Instagram at Shy1Persephone, or follow just the hashtag My Year of Reading Women for more of my stuff. Okay, bye.